Hi, it's Xanthe here. Please excuse the fan is going because one, it's hot and humid, and two, just to block any background noise. I'm going to look at the colour brown today, just from the perspective of someone who has lots of experience mixing paint, etc. And also I've got a science background, science qualifications. Glasses are fogging up. Okay, so I'm wearing dark brown glasses, and I'm wearing brown mascara. I've got I'll show you. Looks almost black. So compared to the black, this is a Natio one, tubing one, and my lipstick I'm wearing a brown red. Raisin Rage. Can get a dark brown, which I don't wear very often. Sometimes just mixed in because it's just quite dark. So let's put some tubes of paint here. Got some fabric to drape on myself. I'm wearing light makeup. I'm sweating because I'm hot. I'll take my glasses off so I'm not fogging up. Block myself with a tissue. Okay, so we're just going to do the blind, so half blind. So basically what I'm wearing at the moment, if I would look at my paints, it's definitely a red brown. So these are some of the paints, just to give you a reference with paint pigments. Let's just have a look at, so we've got a pearl red, which is a closest that I've got to a primary red. The cadmium red medium is darker, and there's quinacridone magenta, which leans more towards violet. So compared to these, brown is like a complex or a colour or compound colour, which can be attributed to having several components, but you can actually get straight brown pigments. So it kind of ranges more sort of warm yellow through to a violet range is where I see browns. So I've got here, just for comparison purposes, we've got yellow ochre, which is like a yellowish brown, raw sienna dark, which is like a, this one's quite good for doing blonde hair for painting, so that's still kind of more yellowish. Raw umber, which is kind of like a neutral brown, that one can be good for hair as well. Got here light red ochre, which is more of a rusty orangey, brownish rusty colour. Indian red oxide is a very rich reddish brown. Burnt sienna is an orangey reddy brown. Burnt umber is the darkest brown that I have, and it's a neutral brown. And I've got here Mars Violet, which is it's got here PR101, so it is in the red family, but it's a reddish brown. So if you compare it to all of these as a reference, most browns generally are in the orange to red family in general. So I've just got these ones for reference. Then we're going to look at comparing some of these colours, first draping myself with the colours. First of all, just to show you, because I won't compare for every single one because we'll try and keep this short because I need to go to work. So basically, if we have yellow, this is a CMY colour globe, so we've got yellow, magenta, cyan here. So we've got our light colours, the dark colours. Browns in general are dark forms of basically the red family, from pretty much the the warm side of, or the orange side of yellow, right through to red. I think right through to magenta. It depends on how you want to describe the colour. But these colours I would consider to be all browns. Then what happens is you start to go into, you know, distinctively other colours. You know, you could call it navy or whatever. So the tans are kind of more yellows, brownish yellows. The you know, your dark richer browns tend to be in the red family, and of course you can lighten them as well once you've got your brown. Right, let's see if I've stopped bogging up. I'm not going to refer to every single one there, but you can see that when you're more orangey, then it's more of your rusty type browns. Okay, so a type that I have that I like with this particular dress is, this is actually a brown too, but it's lightened, and it's kind of more leaning yellow, but it's not cream. So, so to compare it to white, not say the white of this tube, it's quite different. And this one here isn't even cream, but it's slightly different as well. This one's lighter than this one, so this is just like a little crop cardigan, but it's still, if you were going from here, in the yellow family, so where are we, but it's sort of somewhere in between there. It's between the orange and yellow. I think it goes quite nicely. Anyway, this colour I think is a little bit light on me, but again that's kind of more, compared to this is more red, this is leaning more yellow. Oh, I'll take my glasses off, you can see better. So I'm wearing a very light application of makeup, including brown eyeshadow and brown mascara. So this one here is a little bit grey compared to this. So just a quick comparison compared to this one, which is a reddish brown, kind of like a mahogany kind of brown. This one is not as red, this one is more neutral. I'll just show you compared to black. So black on here, if you were looking at your colour globe, is just your darkest colour. So and you can like this dress mix brown and black. And this one is a mixture of brown, black and cream. These are a pair of shorts, but I have them in a pair of culottes. This brown here is actually in the red family, but there's a lot of grey added into it, so it's a softer colour. It's actually not too far from this, except this is more saturated, and this one is grey down. This one here is a more neutral brown and grey down a bit, so there's not much red. We're going away from the red. This one here, when I was talking about going into violet, is more the magenta family, but turning it very dark. So we've got our magenta here, and then we go very dark. We start to get still a brown. It's more this kind of a brown. So this one's more of a warm brown, this one's more of a cool brown, but you know, it's sort of pretty inconsistent using labels like warm or cool. This one does also have a hint of being greyed down, so there's a pair of pants. This is a lot of people would call it burgundy. It's a brownish red, and on this it would be so a red family. With the printing process, the red does look a little bit orange, but it is just going a bit deeper down to about here. It's about there. so it's a deeper red. So that's the colour that I like on myself. And then if we go even darker still, we end up with this brown. So they're basically the same family, this brown and this red here. So it's essentially what I'm wearing now is a very dark red. Okay, so I've got my glasses back on. So let's just have a look at you know, sort of colour swatch. So I was typed over 30 years ago, back in my early 20s, as a deep autumn. I lost the fabric swatch years ago, but I just bought one. I don't take this everywhere, but I'm just interested in the whole concept of colour, so you know, it's just interesting to compare. So basically the deep autumn, what that meant was basically, this is with the Colour Me Beautiful, meant that in general I see colours that are darker than medium value, slightly warm, neutral to warm, and what was the other factor? Oh, slightly soft rather than, you know, super clear or super muted. These aren't perfect. Like, for example, I have no idea why that mint green is in there. I've put ticks and crosses next to some of the colours, but let's just have a look at some of the browns. So there's your cream there, and I just wanted to show how this top is not a cream. You see how that's quite different. It's closer to this one that's called Stone, and the same with actually this one's not really a cream either, so it's just a guide. Anyway, so let's have a look at the brown. So the greys have all got a touch of yellow in them, so they're kind of, well, most of them, not really your, you know, a cool grey. They've got a little bit, in general, it actually has black in there, so because it's like a cross between what they call the autumn and winter palettes. So let's have a look though for browns. Now camel, which is basically tan, I don't think goes very well with my olive colouring. Whenever I've held it up to myself, I just think it looks bizarre. I don't think it goes. The problem with seasonal colour analysis, I don't think it fits a lot of people very well, and that includes the olive complexions. So we've got here brown down, kind of a green, which they've called khaki. Now getting into business here. So this is a brown mahogany, which was very good hair colour if I ever wanted to dye my hair. So the reddish brown. They've got here brown burgundy, which is probably not too far off from this top. I mean, this is more vibrantly red compared to the brown. Dark brown, black brown. Now I do remember from all these years ago the analyst holding up black versus the black brown and saying the black brown was better, so it was like, it just has a touch of yellow in it. And it's the same with the glasses. These glasses here, in certain lights you can actually see the red in them. The dark brown, the other option that I was looking at, and even the assistant said the black looked too harsh on my face. So it's just kind of like, if I had the choice, it's kind of like the dark brown is better, but I don't think I see all browns. And you know, you can have different qualities about them. If they're too light, if they've, you know, been have white added to them, or too yellow, or you know, that kind of thing. So what else do I want to say about brown? Oh, about brown hair, my hair colour, this is my natural hair colour, which has softened considerably over the years. So in my, from a teenager when my hair went dark, believe it or not, some of my childhood photos have blonde hair, sun bleached hair, but most of the time I have brown hair, but when I puberty, my hair went dark, and it would be probably dark chocolate, and then because a couple of different hairdressers who have seen my hair, you know, over 10 years ago and recently, have called my hair chocolate. So chocolate is like a neutral brown, so it depends on the lighting. So in artificial lighting I've got neutral lighting here, but if I've got artificial lighting that's warm, my hair, you can see the red in it. And people have actually asked me, what kind of hair dye do you use to get that red? And I said, it's just natural. It will look significantly red, like very, you know, kind of this kind of red. I mean, the red brown, still brown but red, you know. But in cool lighting, my hair might reflect the coolness. So it can look cool. It can look softer in softer lighting. For example, overcast day, clouds, or it can look very dark indoors. So it depends. It's my whole colouring is like that actually, you know, can be affected quite significantly by the lighting. So generally my eye colour is kind of like an olive colour. So what I want to say about brown, I actually avoided brown for a long time, like to add a few pieces of brown to my wardrobe. I don't shop around for the exact right brown because I'm on a low income, so I'm restricted with, you know, what I buy. But I think from the browns, I like this one the best on me from all of those colours. I did an abstract painting recently, which was actually just a cover up of another painting. This is actually browns, but it's very red brown. It was actually inspired originally by a photo, just a selfie of my hair under artificial light. So we were definitely going into like your Indian red oxide, for example, and mixed, you know, with the dark. We had the burnt umber as well. In childhood I've got some photographs of my hair kind of bleached, sort of still kind of neutral to warm, although in childhood I was always nearly always had a tan because we were in the sun a lot. Hair colours that I felt really suited me, and also went with the, you know, the sort of deep autumn kind of palette, was mahogany. Once a hairdresser convinced me to go copper, but it was actually brighter than this light red ochre, and she had to take my hair back considerably. She had to take my hair back, you know, considerably to do that. It looked alright with the contrast of a copper streak, but when full on copper, it was too bright on me and too light. And I noticed in photos that just really exaggerated the greenish kind of olive kind of components of my complexion. Brown is considered by hairdressers to have like a red undertone. I'm not a hairdresser, but just knowing from reading about this and what they've, you know, if they take dark hair like mine, if you want to lighten it, you've got to go through stages of the red when they bleach it back. The red is quite persistent and hard to eliminate. And I wouldn't want to go blonde anyway, one, because I think that it's too light on me, and two, I just don't want to damage my hair going from how dark my hair is. Another colour that has that I've been choosing more recently, if I do want to just have a subtle change, is stay neutral, and I go dark chocolate. Now, with just a semi-gloss, so the gloss doesn't damage your hair as much as a permanent. If I use that, it would just fade completely back to my natural hair colour within, you know, 3 or 4 months. But what that did is it didn't turn red in the process, so it just because if you're in the sun a lot, your hair can bleach, you know, and look a bit more reddish, especially if you use hair dye, etc. I've been kind of embracing neutrality, because when I actually had my colours done, you know, when I was younger, I remember that the analyst said that I had neutral hair, and I'd never dyed my hair at that stage, and my hair was a bit darker. I actually thought she was intending it as an insult, and I thought, oh, she's saying I have boring hair. That's how I interpreted it, boring brown hair. And yeah, it was actually the first time that I kind of started looking at hair dye packets. And if I did go sort of the mahogany direction, you know, sort of like this kind of colour, it did go really, really well with more an autumny kind of palette. But I'm finding that if I stay with more the neutrality, like this, you know, past few years, just embracing the neutrality, hardly ever dyeing my hair, and I find that I feel that I can wear some more of the, you know, the cooler colours, you know, say maybe like this green, although I think in general my complexion suits, you know, kind of reasonably deep greens. I feel that having neutral hair, because my hair is quite dominant in my colouring, I feel though that neutrality, not too warm or not too cool, it is more versatile with what colours I wear. I think that then I can wear better some of the winter colours. But when I had my hair trimmed recently, she said to me, "Your hair is a very neutral chocolate, isn't it?" And I said, "Yeah, it can look warm or cool depending on the lighting, and like even the soft or dark, you know." She says, and I told her about how I felt like it was an insult. Years ago I've been told I had neutral hair, and she said, because I always thought neutral was boring, like even with as an artist it's been hard for me to embrace the neutrals and to realise that they're actually quite useful in your painting, because then they can make colours pop, you know, rather than having everything loud and bold, which was my tendency. So anyway, my hairdresser said, "No, that's a compliment. You've got a lovely shade of chocolate brown hair." Oh, I've gone and forgotten to say that you can actually mix without using these browns. These browns are useful because they generally are opaque, which gives that richness, whereas you can actually mix browns from your, you know, vibrant colours, you know, like if you've got a red, a yellow and a blue, you basically just mix it so there's less of the blue and more of the red. And as far as screen colour goes, it's RGB, mixing of the light, so to get the browns they generally use less of the blue and more of the red and the yellow. So different colour mechanism when you're mixing light to pigments, but it's basically, if I want to avoid brown in a painting, I avoid anything that's red, and if I wanted magenta, which some people call a cool red, but magenta's between red and violet on the colour wheel, or red and purple even, we'd use a magenta if you don't want kind of red is kind of like got a touch of yellow in it in a sense. Even though you can get pigments, you know, that aren't mixed. For instance, this pigment's PR254, like it's a single pigment, but if you're looking at where they lay on colour spectrum, If you don't want brown, if you want to be able to, you know, mix paints or whatever, so when I'm choosing my colour schemes, I may look at previous mixtures, but also knowing from what mixes together. If I want the reds, if I want a brighter red, I'll use more just kind of primary red. If I want more the deeper kind of reds, you know, maybe a bit of the cadmium. If I want the earthy kind of reds, maybe the Indian. But the thing is, you can actually, from just half a dozen colours, mix just about every colour. Thanks.